Hello there and welcome to UPfront with me, Blessed Suga. The message is simple, that controversies are emerging now over government's decision to receive some deportees from the United States of America. The government explains that its move to receive, first of all, the first batch of 14 and now 40 more on their way to Ghana as West African deportees from the U.S. is based on humanitarian grounds and a Pan-African move to show solidarity with the African diaspora. But the minority now is raising concerns about the move, arguing that it does not sit right with Ghana's constitution. Exactly what's wrong with this U.S. deportee arrangement, and what are the immediate concerns of the minority? I want us to listen to excerpts of that, and then we get varied views on the way forward. Listen.
Ghana's decision to receive some 14 West African national deportees from the United States of America have generated public debate in the last few days. The justification from the Foreign Affairs Minister Okudzeto Ablakwa has been that government acted on the advice of the Attorney General, as they believe an agreement between the two countries does not need parliamentary ratification before they execute.
Our decision is grounded purely on humanitarian principle and Pan-African solidarity, to offer temporary refuge where needed, to prevent further human suffering, and to maintain our credibility as a responsible regional actor. Ghana's decision must be understood as an act of Pan-African empathy. It is not transactional. Like Rwanda, Eswatini, Uganda, South Sudan, who are welcoming fellow Africans, we are standing up for our brothers and sisters in distress. And this should not be misconstrued as an endorsement of the immigration policies of the Trump administration.
While speaking to the media in Parliament, the ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee, Samuel Abujinapo, said the move by government does not only violate the 1992 Constitution, but also a Supreme Court ruling that demands that all agreements between Ghana and other countries must be ratified by Parliament.
We are also shocked by the Honourable Minister's claim that the Honourable Attorney General advised Cabinet that this agreement does not require parliamentary approval. The Attorney General of the Republic was the Deputy Attorney General when the decision in the Bamford case was delivered by the Supreme Court. He cannot therefore feign ignorance about this case and purport to give a legal opinion which therefore contradicts the decision of the Supreme Court, if indeed he did. The opinion of the United States Attorney General, if it was indeed given, is of no consequence in our country, as both the constitutional provision and the Supreme Court decision are very clear. Indeed, the Supreme Court held in the Bamford case that the distinction in the United States between executive agreements, which does not require the approval of Congress, and treaties, which require such approval, are not applicable in Ghana in the light of the clear constitutional provision in Article 75. The government's conduct in operationalizing the agreement with the United States without parliamentary ratification is a direct constitutional violation of Article 75 and an affront to the authority of the Supreme Court. It is therefore deeply concerning that the government continues to operationalize the agreement with the United States despite these flagrant constitutional breaches. Such conduct reflects a lack of respect for the rule of law, which is one of the fundamental pillars of our constitutional democracy. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, beyond this blatant constitutional breach, the agreement raises pressing concerns of sovereignty, security, and policy. While regional integration remains a core value of our foreign policy, it cannot be stretched to justify the forced deportation of foreign nationals deported from other countries. The ECOWAS Protocol on Free Movement concerns voluntary travel, not forced deportations orchestrated by a non-ECOWAS state. On the international stage, the foreign policy consequences of this agreement are equally alarming. Ghana has, over the years, built a proud reputation for principled diplomacy rooted in non-alignment, regional solidarity, and respect for human rights. The decision to serve as a receiving point for West African deportees against their wishes with emphasis from the United States risk our country being perceived as aligning itself with the United States government's current immigration enforcement regime, one which has been criticized as harsh and discriminatory. To associate Ghana with such policies could have several negative implications for our country, particularly within the African continent.
The minority is demanding that all such agreements be halted immediately until they are brought to Parliament for ratification.
We therefore reiterate our call on the government to suspend with immediate effect the unconstitutional implementation of this agreement until Parliament has duly exercised its constitutional mandate to scrutinize same and ratify it or otherwise. We further urge government to provide full clarity on the processes, safeguards, and other broader implications associated with receiving these deportees, including the measures, if any, that have been taken to protect Ghana's security interests, Ghana's foreign policy, and the Gaza conflict.
Another major issue has been government statement condemning Israel's attack on Palestine and Gaza. The minority said this is against international agreements that forbid countries from taking position in matters like this. They are warning that this could bring serious international implications on Ghana.
By describing the events in Gaza in absolute terms and aligning the country explicitly with one side in a highly polarized conflict, the government risks compromising the delicate balance that has long safeguarded Ghana's credibility as an impartial actor on the international stage. Our tradition has been to call for peace, dialogue, and adherence to international law without issuing declarations that may prejudice our ability to play a mediating or bridge-building role. Successive governments have, over decades, interpreted and applied these principles by maintaining a posture of independence and impartiality in international conflicts. It is therefore crucial, ladies and gentlemen of the press, that in responding to this conflict, Ghana's official statements continue along this tradition, speaking clearly to the need for peace, the protection of civilians, and adherence to international law, by doing so in a manner that avoids the perception of taking sides in a very deeply divisive conflict. The Minority Caucus wishes to emphasize that Ghana's enduring strength in international relations has always come from its ability to maintain independence, neutrality, and credibility, even when global powers have sought to draw us into their competing blocs. Departures from this tradition, if not checked, could diminish our moral authority on the international stage and compromise our wider national interests. We therefore call on the government to exercise caution and be consistent in articulating Ghana's foreign policy positions, particularly on sensitive international conflicts, such as the Gaza conflict. The government must ensure that Ghana's position reflects our long-standing commitment to non-alignment, multilateralism, and principled diplomacy, rather than hasty or unilateral declarations. Calm, measured, and nuanced diplomacy is essential for the conduct of our foreign policy in general and for addressing volatile situations such as the current conflict in particular.
It is now left to government to take a decision as to whether or not they will bring this agreement with the U.S. to Parliament for some ratification and a response to the position of the minority on the implication of our position in the Israel-Palestinian war. From Parliament here in Accra, I am James Savaji for Joy News.
And back here in the studios, a number of questions emerging now as to what government's response will be. But what's the general sentiment, first off, in the US, where many West African nationals, including possibly some Ghanaians, are being deported now? And what's been the wide reception about this announcement by the President, John Mahama, on this latest move, which the minority is raising questions about? Let's take you to the US now. Nana Kakari is an international affairs and political analyst joining us right from the US, where you are, Nana, and many are wondering what's happening there, with many Ghanaians now worried, and beyond Ghanaians as well, West African nationals. 40 more of them, we understand, will be sent back home, and fortunately or unfortunately, depending on where you stand, Ghana would be that recipient country of these 40 West African nationals. What's the general sentiment in the U.S. like about these deportation moves?
Question, blessed to see you. And you know what? Let's start with the timing of all this, right? We have the UNGA, UN General Assembly going on, and as we speak right now, in just few hours, tomorrow, President John Mahama is expected to deliver his address to the UN delegation. And now here we are with Ghanaians expecting 40 more deportees. You know what? This is not just a concern for the ordinary Ghanaian. As we heard from the soundbite, it's also a concern for the opposition lawmakers. You know, I think we can start with the security concerns. We do not know the background of these deportees, or even if we know, we haven't really dived deeper into their background, why we are receiving them. Are they criminals? Do they have criminal backgrounds? What is their job? What exactly are these deportees going to Ghana for, right? So you can understand when you look at the side of an ordinary Ghanaian, any normal Ghanaian will be concerned about the securities, who we are bringing into our country, what we should expect from them, what their motives are, right? Because there's a reason why the United States is sending these deportees, which is the same concern for Americans, the economic concerns, the security concerns, and even, you know what, the human rights concerns for these deportees themselves. And when you look at the human rights concerns or violations against these deportees, Ghana could face legal actions from the deportees, and that wouldn't be a good look when it comes to foreign policy and the international reputation of Ghana, the country itself. Now we also want to talk about the economic strain that will be put on Ghanaians. Ghanaians will now be competing with these deportees when it comes to jobs. Also, look at the cultural adjustment, how they're going to integrate into the Ghanaian societies. All these are valid concerns that I think that the government should address and maybe listen to.
And I'm interested in the story in the US as to how people are legally fighting this decision, knowing well that they may be heading to Ghana. What's been the wide reception like? Is it that of backlash, or people are just accepting it? Well, we ought to go home anyway. It's got to be anywhere in Africa.
Well, it's been a mixed reaction here in the United States as we speak right now. You have, let's take you back a few weeks ago, you have the Supreme Court actually saying that there are a lot of actions that the Trump administration is taking that is illegal. So there's the legal side of it where the Supreme Court, the Trump administration is going back and forth with the Supreme Court. And when it comes to the Americans or the Ghanaians here in America, it's also kind of like a mixed reaction. There are people who are happy, you know, there's no place like home. You're sending me home, okay, well, fine. I have family, friends, loved ones back in Ghana. And there are also people, Ghanaians or, you know, other deportees who have built their life here in the United States. They have family, they have children. They basically, their livelihood has been established here in the United States. Those people are definitely not happy about the move right now of sending these deportees to Ghana. But when you look at also the other side, right, Ghana is seen as, you know, the safest, peaceful country when it comes to the continent. And so they also gives kind of like a hope that, you know what, we're not being sent to any other country where we could face maybe, you know, violence or what have you. We are being sent to Ghana, which is a safe haven to most Ghanaians or to some international or some of these deportees. So the reaction has been mixed, and we are all watching
and when you speak
how things on.
Yeah, I get that. And when you speak to Ghanaians and other West African nationals in the US now, for instance, in New York, where you are, what kind of sense do you get from them? Anxiety, or these people are just not happy about the wave of immigration crackdown in the US?
You know what? It's mixed emotion. Let's bring it down. You have built life here in the United States. Most of these people, again, like I said, had families. They have their jobs. They have established here in the United States. Going back to Ghana or going back to any other country or being deported to any other country, blessed is not a good take, because you know what? You haven't planned for it. This deportation came into place when the Trump administration came on board. And so if you can imagine someone who's been living in the United States with children established, being told that, now you have to be sent home. What are you doing? How are you going to put things in place that you're being sent home with nothing, right? And the place you're being sent to, these people probably don't have, any establishment back in Ghana or the countries that they are being deported to. So that would take a strain on them. Again, I mentioned earlier in the segment that the economic strain is also something that they're looking at, right? They now have to kind of adjust to the society, the new environment that they find themselves in. They now have to look for jobs that, again, we are all facing this economic strain and unemployment and what have you. And then now they have to deal with the challenges of competing with the local Ghanaians for these kind of jobs. So, which of course the local Ghanaians wouldn't be happy about it. So there's mixed reaction. I actually have a friend of mine whose auntie, she told me, is also kind of facing this deportation, and the entire family is devastated by that. And so it's just that kind of thing where they go like, okay, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know where we're going. We don't know what we are going to face, the challenges that we are going to face, but we have no choice but to go. And then when they get to the destination where they're being deported, as in our case to Ghana, they now have to deal with a whole lot of challenges competing with the ordinary Ghanaians, and also had to face, security concerns and what have you. So it's a difficult task, both for Ghanaians at home and Ghanaians here in the United States and abroad.
Okay, finally, before I let you go, if there's a message and a concern now, what immediate questions would you want the government of Ghana to answer?
I think that we need more information on the background check. Security is a big, security is a big concern, not just for me as a Ghanaian, but I think that for anybody who is receiving somebody in your home and don't know much about this person, all you know is this person is coming from the United States and being sent to Ghana. There is a reason why the United States is sending these people to Ghana, and there must be a reason, a valid reason, and more information as to why we are receiving them. And that's on the other side. But then also Ghana as a country, the international reputation, the foreign policy, how Ghana will be looked at with international observers who are saying that, okay, you know what measures have been taken or what measures are being taken to make sure that Ghanaians are going to be safe. Yeah. Also, what measures are being taken to make sure that Ghana is not going to face. We recently heard that some of the deportees have actually filed lawsuits against Ghana. So there's the legal repercussions, and also there is the economic and the security concerns that needs to be addressed. I would like for President John Mahama, who is now here in the United States and prepping for his annual delivery for the UN delegation, to address some of these concerns with Ghana. We want to hear from him. We want to know what is being, measures that are being taken place to make sure that all parties involved, including the opposition party, they've raised various concerns, wide range concerns that are valid, and would like to hear from the president address these concerns. Especially for me as a Ghanaian, I'm more concerned about the security concerns as well as the economic strain that these deportees may put on Ghanaians.
Nana Kakari joining us from the US, International Affairs and Political Analyst. Grateful for your time. Joy News would certainly bring you a live transmission of that address when the president takes his turn at the United Nations General Assembly. But you know what? Lots of reactions greeting this, including tonight our conversation with someone who's serving on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament, the Bosumi Frehu MP, Nana Safueje, who's my guest in studio. But first, let me do this with Professor Mary Setrana, who is a senior lecturer at the Center for Migration Studies, University of Ghana. Thank you, Prof, for your time. So here we are, and many are wondering why this level of crackdown in the US on West African nationals, and why Ghana, by the way?
Yeah, thank you very much, and greetings to your listeners. Why Ghana, by the way? I think if you listen to the news, it's not only been Ghana, Rwanda, Uganda, different countries are receiving these deportees and range of people into their country. So it just happens. I think it's negotiation that is ongoing. And it happens that our government has been part of those governments that have accepted to receive these number of deportees. I know that these discussions prior to Trump coming back again had been going on, and Ghana has been very strong not to receive. But we don't know the pressures that have gone under bridge for this to come up. But I know previously, in Trump's administration, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been strong and government had been strong not to take non-Ghanaians. And so for this to have come not only to Ghana, but also to other African countries, I'm sure some of the threats that Trump has been throwing out there has perhaps hit us. And so we are here and Ghana has been included. Surprisingly.
I see. But there's legal arguments, in fact, action, even greeting this here in the country. But internationally speaking, what laws, under which laws, is a country allowed to take a refugee from another country or a deportee from another country into their country, a third state?
Well, so I'm not a lawyer, but I will speak as a migration expert. When you talk about the 1951, the UN 1951 Convention, the Refugee Convention, it has non-refoulement, it has protection. But in this case, and for this particular law, it refers to refugees or people seeking asylum. So you cannot return people who had come to your country as a result of conflict or any of the definitions and situations that are outlined in the 1951 Convention. If all these things are available in their country, so for instance, if they are running away from persecution, conflict, tensions, you cannot take them back if the country is not safe. And so if the country is not safe and you want to take them anywhere, it should be a third country. And so in this case, we are referring them to as deportees, which is different from if somebody is a refugee. Yeah. If it's a refugee, for instance, we had Liberians here. Yes, some of them went to a third country like US. Some, when the country was safe, back on track, went back to Liberia. And so the terminologies we are using here are different. So if you say deportation, it means that these people, it has a legal implications. Sometimes even criminal actions are in, just as Kakari said. And so we need to be careful the terminologies we are using. If it is a third country, it should be safe. The people should be ready to go. The country hosting should be acceptable. It should be ready to accept. And so here the definitions are different. And so we need to also look at that.
But it's the reality, isn't it, that US would no longer accommodate these individuals. Don't we just face reality and design policies that will welcome all of these individuals?
Well, so Ghana has been receiving returns, and most of our returns are, I think all of them, they are Ghanaians. So return is not a current thing. Over the past years, you can track the records from development institutions and also from all the migration stakeholders working on returns. So we've been receiving returns, we've been admitting returns, but these are mostly Ghanaians who are stranded out there and are coming back. They may be stranded or deported or whichever situation they find themselves. We've been receiving them. And as a nation, we've been working on national referral mechanism. When we talk about national referral mechanisms, we have stakeholders like NADMO, we have the GIZ, we have GIS, the Ghana Immigration Service. Yes. We have all the stakeholders involved. They receive them at the airport. They welcome them. We have a package for them through the international development agencies like IOM and GIZ. So they are received, they are given a package, they are reintegrated, they are given orientation. And so within Ghanaian framework, there are those programs available to help Ghanaians resettle in the country. But now, remember that this one, they are not Ghanaians, and they are not, from what we are saying, they don't fall into the category of refugee. they are deportees.
Yeah.
And so they may have criminal records. And so that is why Nana is saying that the security concerns are important. And so we need to take care of that. We need to look at the broader terrain of the people coming. What's their background? What information do we need? And this has always been the concern. That is why Ghana has always been reluctant to receive the people that are coming, particularly if they are not Ghanaians.
Finally, same with you, just as I did with Nana. Are there some questions that you'd want the government to answer?
Well, so I think we don't have so much information. Surprisingly, I got interviewed, but then Ghana had not signed, so I was a proud person. But now I don't even know where to start from. We don't have so much information on what has led to all this. And we are talking, but the details are not with us. I think the last time I listened was we received them because they are West African migrants. Yes, West African migrants, because of ECOWAS, do not need visa to come to Ghana. Yes, we do agree. But then the others, even if they come to Ghana as ECOWAS nationals, there is a limitation to the length of stay, after which they need to get the right permits and the right documentation to be able to live and work in Ghana. And so these are even the legal rules when it comes, or the legal procedures when it comes to accepting people in that context. And so these are deportees. Are you going to continue to keep them as deportees, or you are going to free them to walk about, or you are going to send them back? I mean, these are things that the concerns that we need to. We are a nation, we are going to receive them, we are the host communities, and so we need some more information on what is going on.
Yeah. Big questions there. Grateful for your time, Professor Sitarana from the University of Ghana's Center for Migration. We'll watch the space, watch the President's address tomorrow and see if indeed all of these concerns will be addressed. But time now to look at what the minority did today. And Nana Safoeje was in your shot there, possibly because of this, the address of the ranking member. You didn't see him. But he's on the International Affairs Committee of Parliament. I believe deputy ranking, is it? Yes, that's right. But what evidence do you have, first of all, Nana, to prove and to buttress this fact that all these deportees coming through are living in inhumane conditions, as you claim?
So, I want to, first and foremost, greet you. You've done a good job. You've taken your time to dissect the issues to help viewers understand the background and grasp the whole concept. Again, I would want to also say a good evening to your viewers.
Right.
Now, our position is clear, that we are not against any government humanitarian gesture or gesture. We are not against Ghana exhibiting, demonstrating that, hey, we are the star of Africa. And in fact, Nkrumah said that the independence of our country is not complete unless it is linked to the total liberation of Africa. We are not against that principle. No, not at all. But we are saying that in the scheme and space of all these things, humanitarian grounds, whatever grounds, we must follow due processes, which is key and important.
So you're not against the number, 40 first of all, now 40 more, come 54 in all.
Hold on. We must get the principles first.
Right.
We are not against the principle that Ghana should extend humanitarian grounds or hand to Africa, even to the world. We are not against it. We are not against, so by that inference, we are not against numbers. Because if the gesture is accepted and the principle accepted, we are not against it. We are against the fact that these things are being done without due processes and seem to be crowded in secrecy. That is our problem. If we do not take care, the same humanitarian grounds upon which we are extending this hand will be the same humanitarian grounds upon which some of these members will come against us. You see, the framers of the Constitution were so intelligent that they believed strongly that any arrangement between Ghana and whatsoever country, so far as that arrangement would have some obligation on the good people of Ghana, then Ghanaians must accept that agreement. And by saying Ghanaians should accept that agreement, it means by going to Parliament for Parliament to accept it. Because when Parliament does, Ghana has largely done that. That is why Article 75 was there. That any agreement between Ghana and other countries, and don't forget that we are a dualist state. We are not a monolith state like the US. They can go to UN or any other place and sign the bills or agreement or whatsoever, and it becomes binding automatic. When we sign those ones, we must come to Parliament to rectify it before it becomes binding on us. So we are saying that, hey, look, whatever arrangement that you have with the US, let this arrangement be made clear to Ghanaians. 1. 2, let this arrangement follow due process, the constitutional process. Let this arrangement follow it, so that in future, no other government will come and hide under nomenclatures. Oh, this is a note verbal. Yeah. This is a MOU. This is a love letter. This is that. So by that inference, you will not take whatever obligation you have with whichever country to Parliament. You are hiding under this. And that is our position. And we are saying that this government is the NDC government is the last government that should go through this process. Because it was during their time that they gave us this landmark case, the Gitmo issue. And the Attorney General, so we do not even believe that the Attorney General gave the Minister for Foreign Affairs this advice. We do not even believe.
I mean, going by the words of the Foreign Minister, that was exactly the case. This came before Cabinet.
Hold on.
I mean, he said that clearly. So if you say you have doubts,
my brother,
that's the official position of the Minister.
I have my doubts. Let me reserve my doubts. I don't want to go into it. Let me reserve. The reason and the grounds or basis why I'm saying this is that the Attorney General, who the Foreign Affairs Minister is alluding to that advised this one, was the same Attorney General that handled the Gitmo 2 case. Was the same Deputy Attorney General that handled the Gitmo 2 case. This was his argument when he was handling the Gitmo 2 case. He said, the Attorney General therefore urged the Supreme Court to make a distinction between an agreement intended to create a legal liability and one which, although made between two states, is not intended to create legally binding obligation and rights. This is the same argument Honorable Kujetu is making, that the MOU is just a normal MOU, and it's not like a treaty that has a binding effect. This was the argument they made during the Gitmo 2 case. The court then held and now said that whereby there is a various form of documentation, or whatever forms of documentation, so far as the government of Ghana binds the Republic of Ghana to a certain obligation in relation to another country or group of countries, an international agreement comes into existence. So this is the background. The same judge, the same lawyer, which is the Attorney General, then the Deputy Attorney General, made this argument. The court gave this ruling. And when you read Roger Jemfi and the Attorney General on the military base issue during Akufo-Addo's time, the basis and the underlying principle is the same. It says that it doesn't matter how the agreement or how the arrangement is couched. It doesn't matter the form. It doesn't matter the nomenclature or how the name you want to give to it. So far as there is an obligation that the government of Ghana is putting the people of Ghana into, between Ghana and another country, that must come to Parliament.
The word your ranking uses is unconstitutional. If the move is unconstitutional, what do you plan to do as the minority side of the House?
So the first point is to call on the government. Maybe they have not averted their minds to a lot of these things. So we are drawing the attention that, hey, the position you have taken, the argument your minister is making, doesn't hold. So please, revisit the matter again. And if possible, whilst revisiting the matter, hold on to the arrangement you have with the US. Because, see, it has a clear obligation. These people, when they are coming, who will give them food? Where are they going to stay? If it happens that somebody is sick, whose tax or whose money are they going to use in treating this person? These are obligations on the good people of Ghana. And the Constitution is clear. So when you are doing something the Constitution doesn't give you room to do, it is against the Constitution. So it is unconstitutional. That is why ranking Honorable Abujinapo said it is unconstitutional. So for me, it is clear. When we send this signal after this press conference, we are hoping, we were told that, or we have been told that this is a listening government. Yeah. We're hoping that they listen. If they don't listen, the same way the minority, you are not aware we're going to have a press conference today. The same way we had a press conference today, and I've put in our positions and all our take on these matters out. We'll come out again and outline clearly what we do.
The Foreign Minister, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, is not a foreigner in Parliament. I mean, this is your colleague in Parliament. Of course, very good friends, I believe, with your ranking. Have you been able to establish contact with the Foreign Minister in an attempt to at least get an understanding, briefing, or whatsoever that will satisfy all the concerns that the minority side was having about it?
So first and foremost, it is supposed to be the minister's responsibility to inform Parliament or the committee on some of these key critical things that he will do or he has done. But over the years, over the time, since he became Foreign Affairs Minister, I have witnessed the closure of the embassy in UK, in
US,
Washington.
you mean? Yes.
In Washington.
Yes.
We called on him to present to the committee the report upon which he based his decision to close the embassy. He came to Parliament and promised Parliament, and it's in the Hansard, that Parliament should give him by close of day or a day. He will bring that report. It's been months we don't have that report. I can go on and go on and go on.
Yeah,
and
but
mention,
my concern is about the specific case. Hold on. So because this is what I'm dealing with now. Have you reached out? And of course you should be concerned about national security implications, as you're saying.
Yes.
Did you reach out to the Foreign Ministry, by extension the Minister, to find out perhaps if there's any special briefing on this?
No, there's no special briefing on this.
No, have you reached out?
No, I have not.
Yeah, as a committee or as
the
minority
the committee have not. The committee have not. We even invited the chairman to call the minister to appear before the committee to give us a briefing on this. Perhaps, I think maybe when they come back from UNGA, they would come and give us briefing. But the minister has taken a clear position, and that position was what he has communicated through his presser. He did a presser at the Communication Ministry. But after the presser, he now went to a sister station to have a one-on-one interview on this matter and communicated his position. So the minister's position on this matter, the government position on this matter is clear. So we, minority, having looked through the government position on this matter, has taken a decision on the government position on this matter. And we've communicated same. So I think we are on the right track, and we are hoping that as we are being told as a listening government, they will listen, and they will not put the entire country, the entire good people of Ghana, into an agreement we are not privy to.
Okay, let's juxtapose your concerns with what the President has told us, and by extension the Foreign Minister as well. The first principle on the passport holders. These are West African nationals, we're told by the President. 13 Nigerians, 1 Gambian, when they stand from that press briefing by the President, clearly outlining the nationalities of the individuals involved. The rationale is that if these individuals were moving, say, from the US and they're moving right to Accra, no immigration officer, at least in the first 90 days, will be able to refuse them entry into this country. So invariably, you wouldn't have checked any problem, is it?
So I understand the West African protocols very well.
Right.
I have worked with the AU, so I understand the West. Now, let me ask you, who among these people is traveling from Nigeria to Ghana?
You never know. There are 13 Nigerians.
Hold on. No, I'm not saying they are not Nigerian. I'm asking you, who among these people is traveling from Nigeria to Ghana? Or who among these people is traveling within Africa? It is to uphold the free movement of Africa, particularly West Africa. That was why this protocol was made. This protocol was not made for US to deport his people to the country. So they are not deportees. The convention, the protocol was not made for deportees. That is one thing we should get. Now, will you place, you use the word, help me, the president's agreement.
His argument that if you're going with the ECOWAS protocol, for instance, I mean, these individuals can come.
You use a rationale, you use a word.
Yeah, I'm saying the rationale is that at least for the first 90 days, they have the right of entry into our territory because they're carrying Nigerian passports.
I've made that argument.
Right, that argument.
That point is not for deportees.
Right.
That point is not for deportees. It is for free movement
of people within
West Africa. It's not for deportees. No, we cannot make that point. We accept that they are West Africans. We accept it. But the point is that I am asking you, the President of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama, is the #1 person in this country who must defend the Constitution of Ghana. He's the #1 person. None other. He swore an oath to defend the Constitution of Ghana. And what does the Constitution of Ghana say? So is the President placing the rationale of ECOWAS over and above the Constitution that he's sovereign to?
Yeah, but the same Constitution enjoins us to respect whatever treaty we sign internationally. We've signed on to the ECOWAS protocol. It becomes binding on the country called Ghana. If I come into this country, it's part of the deal.
Get the point.
If I come into this country, say I'm a West African national,
take your time and let's do something.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm taking my time. We're having a good conversation. The point about, regardless of wherever I'm coming from around the world, once I hold a West African national passport, the ECOWAS passport, I have a right of entry, at least for the first 90 days. So you can't, ineffectively, you can't check that, is it? You can't be checking why I went to the US or why I went to Singapore.
You are not allowing yourself.
No, I'm giving you the space to.
Hold on. Right. You seem to be clouded with this argument of West African protocol.
Yeah.
I am telling you that, yes, we respect the West African protocol.
Right.
We respect the Treaty of the West Africa. What we are telling you is that the circumstances for which we are agreeing with the US has nothing to do with the West African protocol. It is simple. I do not know why you want to extend the West African. If it is West African protocol, let them freely travel to Ghana. There are people who travel to Ghana. I have Zimbabwean friends who come to visit me. I have Liberian friends who come to visit me. I have all sorts of friends who come to visit me. It is not under any duress. Nobody is forcing them. Nobody is curtailing their human rights. So how do you juxtapose that African protocol to what we are experiencing now? That is the point. Now, I have made that point earlier, that we are not against any humanitarian point or position. What we are saying that let the due process be followed. Look, the minority is not seeking to frustrate government. No. If this arrangement comes to Parliament, you know it. They have the numbers. On any day, the Foreign Affairs Committee has 17 members. Out of the 17 members, we have 5. The NDC have 12. So even at that committee, they have the numbers. So we are not making this argument. We are not stating this position because we want to frustrate them. No, we are stating the position because of future and posterity, so that no other future government will come into power and will seek to hide under such nomenclatures and bind the country into some arrangement.
What suspicions do you have?
Am I supposed to have one?
No, well, you could.
Am I supposed to?
Because we voted for the president.
No, I'm asking you.
He's the president now. You don't believe the president and what he says?
Is that what the Constitution is saying?
No, I'm just asking.
No, I'm asking. Is that what the Constitution is saying?
He's under oath.
No, hold on.
You don't believe the words of the president, is it?
Then let us not go by the Constitution.
No, I'm just asking.
Let's put the Constitution aside.
No, I'm just asking the question.
Let's have full trust and believe in the president. Then we all go and sleep. That we trust the president. We have Constitution. We are now closing the Constitution. Let us go home and trust the president that the president will take a decision for and on behalf of
not in its entirety, but if you look at what the Constitution says about foreign policy, largely within the scope
Article
of
40.
Yes, largely within the scope of the executive, isn't it? In fact, encouraging the president to conduct business on behalf of the country.
We agree.
Yeah.
But
that's why
I'm saying that we agree. We are not saying that the government don't have rights. We agree the government have rights. He have rights. He have powers. But the Constitution that is giving him that right is telling you that when you are moving from your country and having an arrangement with another country, so far as that arrangement with another country will have some obligation on your good people, bring that matter to Parliament, where you derive some of your powers from. The government have powers. He could as well sit in his cabinet and do a budget and start implementing the budget. But But the Constitution says when you prepare your budget, bring it to Parliament. Why is it that the Constitution created Parliament? Because the Constitution believes that the Parliament as it stands now is a representation of the people. And even though the people voted for you, you need validation of the people in some of these things that you are doing so that it will be binding, so that in future you would have some insolence from some of these issues or legal cases when they come. When they come, the president now sits back and says, oh, Parliament took a decision. It is not me, it is Parliament. That is why, in the sense of the framers of the Constitution, they made these provisions available to you. So that for you to be safe, you put it in the doors of Parliament, for Parliament to discuss it and take a decision.
So that there's transparency. Okay.
Yes.
If the Foreign Ministry and also the President fails to provide you with some more details in Parliament, you have other options available to you. Are you interested in exploring some of them?
We will. And like I told you, we believe, we have been told that this is a listening government. We want to assume and believe that they will listen to what we have said. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt, like you always want to. So
but you should.
No, like you always want to.
You always
like
want
you
to.
Always want. So we will give them the benefit of the doubt and hope that they will listen and hold on to the arrangement and do the needful. Then they can continue with the arrangement. Then we would all have the proper documentation. Now, when we are discussing content, and we know. Now we are discussing in absurdity, assuming we do not know what is it that Ghana is expected to do with these deportees. We do not know whether Ghana is supposed to feed them 3 times a day. We do not know how the structure of accommodation Ghana is supposed to give them. We have no knowledge about anything. And that should be a worry to you.
It should be a worry to you as well, and that's why you're
but I am worried.
Obviously, yeah. So the way forward now on what's happening around the world and where the president finds himself, you understand a lot more into issues of international relations, and you take a look at what's happening in the U.S. now and the type of leader they have. Do you hold that view that our president could stand up to President Trump?
I am not looking out for a president that stands out to Trump. No, I'm looking at the president that knows what he's about. It's not about, the measure should not be about...
Yeah, but I'm talking about what's realistically happening in the world.
I get it. I know. Right. There are a lot of people, not just you, who feel that they want to measure their president by he's able to speak. That is not the point, and that's not how I look at things. I want to look at things with a president that, knows what it takes, understand the geopolitics around the world, knows what his position as a country is, and then can articulate his position as a country with the geopolitics.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking you that realistic question as to whether or not you feel our president or our government at this point where we find ourselves. The USA does already, that string has been pulled. Lots more that have created fiscal gaps in our budget. You walk before a US government now, they're putting on the table just as step West African nationals. Rationally speaking and realistically speaking, do you feel that we can stand up to what it is that President Trump is doing?
I am expecting that our president should be able to communicate the position of the country to him, to US, to anybody else. You see, the president was clear on our LGBTQ matter. Right. He took a position. The NDC campaigned on the position. They told us that when they come, they will pass that bill. I am expecting our president to stand out to the world and tell them that, hey, Ghana, we have a position, we have a culture, we have a constitution that frowns on the LGBT. Right. So, therefore, we are going to make that LGBT law like he promised the good people. Then I can say that my president has stood there, stand face to face to the world powers and told them what he believes and what the people of Ghana subscribe to. These are some of the things I am looking out to. So I am expecting him to come back to Ghana and tell us that when I went to the UNGA, I was able to tell them our position as we communicated to you during campaign, that when we come, we'll pass the LGBTQ. We frown against that, and we have made that decision.
Ghana is not in isolation, and I believe you're aware. The likes of Rwanda and other countries have, just opened up to say, we'll take our brothers, regardless of whatever deportation deal or law or considerations they may be facing in the U.S. Does that not make us an exception if we want to be that strict on which kind of African or West African national comes into this country?
Like I told you, even the Gitmo, The principle was not against the Gitmos. The principle was that let it come to Parliament. Like I told you, the principle is not to be against Africans. It's not. If an African brother, no, like you know, you and I we were in Vongoro.
Yeah.
You were in Ivory Coast.
Yes, yes.
I also went to Ivory Coast.
Right.
There are Ghanaians that are living in Ivory Coast. So if our people can live somewhere, other people can also live here. So we are not against Africans or accepting Africans to come and be with us. What we are saying, and what all your speakers have said, is that we must do that through the right process. That's all. The constitution must be followed, and then the good people of Ghana must be aware of what we are doing. That is all we are asking. We are not against anybody. We are not. So that for me is not going to speak truth. That is not even the issue. The issue is for him, the president, to do the needful in his country. That's all. US is free to go into an agreement or an arrangement with any other country he wants to go with. It is up to you to say, I accept it or I don't accept it. Just like the Nigerians did. Yeah. When the US extended this invitation to them to accept West African deportees, they declined. Nigerians declined. Other countries declined. You are mentioning countries that accepted. Some other countries too declined. That is not the position for me. The position for me is that when you accept it, come back home and do the needful. We wouldn't have been discussing this if the majority brought this matter to Parliament for ratification.
So that will end it once it comes to Parliament.
Because when it comes to Parliament, the details will be presented to Parliament.
Finally, the President addresses the UN General Assembly tomorrow. If he uses this platform to explain what's going on and why Ghana is deciding to accept West African nationals, would that be the end of the story for them? I
have told you that I don't care what he tells them about West African nationals. That's not my position. I don't care. My position is that he does the right thing back home. What I rather want to hear him say tomorrow is to hear him say that, hey, Ghana is against LGBTQ. And henceforth, that practice will not be accepted in Ghana, as we promised the people for them to vote for us. We are holding and standing by our position. That is what will make me happy and proud of John Dramani Mahama as a president of the Republic of Ghana. Apart from that, any other thing is a normal thing we would see.
Okay. Parliament will resume soon. We'll wait to see what next steps you take. You have any final words for the government? I'm sure many of them are in the Jubilee House now watching us. What would you want them to know and do in the coming days regarding these concerns that you have?
You see, our position is clear.
Right.
I feel that Ghanaians didn't give them the absolute majority for giving them seats. There's a reason why everything happened. I've been one believer of that. Whatever happens to you, whether good or bad, it is orchestrated by the divine forces to happen. So Ghana or Ghanaians didn't give them this two-thirds for nothing. There is a reason they give them. And people respected them, so they should not abuse that two-thirds. When they do, well, we are just hoping and praying that they abuse it. Then we can take advantage of it.
That possibly at that time, I don't know if it will be Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia or Kennedy Ejapon. You're minded to know that.
I mean, I have been a Dr. Bawumia. I've been a Dr. Bawumia.
Okay, Nana Asafo J for you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for spending time with us, and we hope to have more of these kinds of conversations here on UpFront. It's a wrap on the show. I am Blessed Sugan. We'll see you again. Until then, log on to myjoyonline.com. More stories there for you. Next is Prime News. We'll bring you that in a jiffy. Stay with us.